we paw through anything, there's a couple of things, just some housekeeping. There's going to be we're going to remove a few things off of the agenda.
Okay.
Instead of adding, we usually add.
Yeah.
So we're going the other way. So the cemetery maintenance, we won't be going over that tonight. We don't have the folks coming in, and long story. Under action items, the qualified catering permit that we have on number 2, we actually did that last meeting, but we just need to sign it. So that's not on the agenda necessarily. And then the financial audit's getting tabled as well.
Yeah, I still have it in the draft form.
Draft.
It's completed, but it's in the draft form, and Cheryl's not in today. So.
Yeah.
Why is it so light in here?
What's that?
It's so light in here. Like you can see the windows. Wow.
So we'll cross those out.
Yeah, that's good. Good.
This is really great.
All right, folks. Well, let's
I'll put that in the notes.
it's all live feed. It's all recorded.
Oh dear. Well, never mind.
We have the minutes of May 21st. Anybody have any notes or changes or omissions or anything on there?
I read it.
See anything on there? All right. I'll move the minutes of May 21st.
Second.
Andrew's gonna second. All those in favor or any discussion? All those in favor? Right. Go. And then Josh is gonna abstain.
Wasn't
You were gone on that one, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's move into financials. So we do have payroll warrant number 55. Get a chance to look at them here.
I'll move payroll warrant 55.
Thank you, Josh.
Second.
Tom's gonna second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? All right, move that along. And then I think we can move 56 and 57 together, can't we?
Yep, I'll
Can you
move
move on?
56 and 57.
All right, thank you, Josh. Who wants to second that one?
Sorry.
All right, Andrew's on that. Any discussion? And all those in favor? All right, good there. Nothing else in citizens' comments, Andy? Nothing came in last minute or?
Nothing I'm remembering.
Yep, all right, fair enough. I don't see anybody, no hands up on the Zoom thingy, so, all right, and we have nobody.
Do we have anyone?
Yeah, we do have Lissette. All right, we have a guest here. You're gonna be our guest speaker, Lissette. We don't have anybody visiting us, so we're gonna, yeah. All right, official action items. So we have a liquor license renewal for Barn Door Bakery, baking.
Not during the town manager report.
Geez, I skipped right over that. I was moving right along. I told you, just cutting things out of the.
He's got a hot date.
Andy's got nothing to say.
It is her birthday, so she probably get home sometime soon.
Oh.
Andy, would you have anything in your report you'd like to discuss?
New website domains live. We're working on email address changeover, but we did go to a .gov with the new website that got launched, and so that's still needing to be worked on.
Will that require us to do something different?
Not likely.
Okay.
Just to be aware, and we'll have to get some internally as new business cards and things changed on letterhead, but
Okay.
the police department's been asking for a .gov for a while because they're blocked from running certain reports, doing certain things because of a .com. So
Was on there looking for ordinances.
Mhm.
You gotta go all the way down the bottom. It's not really obvious. I wonder if you could move that up to government.
that's one we got to change. Yeah. When I've been finding it was under how do I and find and ordinances. So we got
Yeah,
to,
it's in little print on the.
Is this on the new one?
Yeah, new
Oh.
website. Yeah.
so
Oh,
it's
It's
much
hard to-
nicer to work around on the back end, and most of the staff had gone through at least some portion of the training. So we'll keep working on that as it should be. The intern started for the summer work, working on a business licensing program, drafting an ordinance. I'm going to be meeting with folks to kind of pull stuff together for public consideration later on this year. Also working on kind of what I call a community resource list of nonprofits and kind of what their missions are, and helping us identify contacts all in one place. And then we look at the comp plan implementation that identifies some community partners, and there's some that aren't identified in there that might be able to help meet some of those goals. And so we'll be able to use that list to hopefully kind of work through that strategic plan, comp plan implementation. Just highlight, I guess, Keen Woods. I don't think there was anything else big on there. Keen Woods, that they're planning on paving the surface pave next week if weather permits. They're in their planning on finishing up some of the excavator work tomorrow, most of the excavator work tomorrow. They've been working on drainage and putting hay or jute mat down on the shoulders and ditch lines, stabilize it. It's come along really nice. Been out there. If you haven't, encouraged you to go take a look.
Yeah.
Today, and it looks good. I just had a question about, what happens between the road and the people's driveway? There's like a big gap between the road and
So that'll all get paved.
it will all get
Yep.
paved. Okay.
So they'll get a base course to pave, and then when they come in and do the finished pave, they'll either probably come out of there first and then do the road last.
Okay.
So they're trying to prep all of that this week, so next week they can come in and pave. And then there was one driveway, we're working with one of the property owners in particular out there. It's just a low set driveway and trying to make sure that they're not left with something unsafe or inconvenient. But I think I can work within the operating budget to deal with that if I have to. There was a couple of pipes they put in that were above and in addition to what we had anticipated beforehand. I don't know the overall cost on that at the moment, but I know one of them was connecting like a horseshoe driveway because of we didn't have the depth off the road in between the horseshoe to be able to get an appropriate slope there. And so we decided just to connect those pipes. It was about 35, 40 feet. So that'll be a couple additional costs on that, but I'll work within what you have and hopefully the operating budget there. All in all, I think it's gone really well.
Looks good. Culverts look good.
The only other thing that came in just today, just kind of running it by just to kind of see how the board feels. Typically in the state's you got a one tonight liquor license on premise. There's one business in town that needs to renew theirs. They did let it lapse, and the way the state works that, if it hasn't been more than 2 years, they're able to issue a temporary until the board is able to hear and consider the renewal application. We would take it up, but we already have it. We would take it up on our next meeting, but it hasn't gone through the review process. It needs here. The state's already issued identified a pending license and identified that to be valid through like June 27th, I think. State had asked Becky and I if the board would be okay with allowing that temporary license. I said, we typically yield to the state. So as long as you've got a policy or it's in your rules that that's a thing, and
Yeah.
I think we're okay with that. To our knowledge, there's been no calls for service there that have been alcohol related.
Is this Oysterhead?
Coco's.
Oh, Cocos.
So
No, if they're all good in the eyes of the state, if they're allowed a temporary license up to them, yeah,
it'll be on the next meeting we have.
right. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't let them continue. Well, yeah.
Perfect. Open to hear questions. I know Belvedere, if you're not hearing questions yet about that, signs are up, blockades are up. I did learn today that folks out there on what they call Belvedere West aren't having mail delivered apparently as of today. So I'm hoping that can be worked out, but I did share that with the RPR the state has and the foreman of the project. So hopefully that can be resolved in some fashion because that's a long duration to have to go get your mail.
Do you think that this is gonna cause more traffic to go through the downtown
Possible.
rather than back up?
People going through town, yeah.
It's possible. If
Yeah.
you're heading south, it's not terribly convenient to do that because of the on-ramp, but
Right?
if you're heading north, you might.
I had a question on the cemetery committee, and now that Patty's not on. Who's remaining, and are they gonna replace her with somebody else?
So the trustees, Martha and Lorraine are still there. I'm not sure. We don't have anyone that I'm aware of. We've asked a few folks if they might be interested. That's elected on the floor at town meeting to fill that third spot. The administrative aspect of it, we don't have a great solution right now to fill that. That's Becky and I met with Patty, and it was I knew there was a lot involved, and I really understand there's a lot more involved than we even thought. So it's going to be, we're going to do as much as we can through here, but checking.
Busy.
Well, are Martha and Lorraine looking for someone for the,
As a trustee,
You're
Yeah.
raising your hand, is that what you got there? Your hand is
I'm
up.
still teaching? No.
I know a few folks have been approached to see if they'd be interested that have been involved in some fashion. And to my knowledge, I don't think there's anyone that's
Oh.
leading candidate to be on the
Too bad.
trustees. So if anyone knows anyone that's interested to be a trustee, there's, by being a trustee doesn't mean you're taking on that administrative duty as well. That's a separate position that shouldn't actually be a trustee doing that. Because the way the trustees are structured, they oversee basically that person, and it's kind of it's worked well, but it's just one of those checkpoints we probably gotta.
Yeah.
So Patty's always done it just voluntarily.
As a trustee, and then the town 5 years ago or so started to compensate that position at a modest rate. It was her that had been doing it all along, so it just kind of happened.
So now we need to replace Patty and maybe a little bit of admin help.
So it's not a little, but yeah,
It is a lot.
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a high standard.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Well,
Brought a lot to
the other
people,
thing is that,
so.
the members there, they're probably, they themselves probably won't be doing it forever. So I think, getting new blood in there, starting the process is really important. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble.
Yeah, the feelers are out there, but hopefully
Yeah.
it may take a while. It's not gonna happen overnight, but maybe somebody might step up and.
Mhm.
But, Andy, dates on the meeting, you and I had talked briefly, but, and Dan had pointed out that, you suggested the 25th instead of skipping a week where we have, a town meeting next week and then
We have-
pushing out.
We have town meeting next week, and then I'm away that weekend, just for the weekend, but I was not
Yeah.
likely to put board packets together. We can do it and just have a short one, do a warrant and take up that liquor license, anything else that's, comes in.
Yeah,
But I
is
won't
everybody good
have
with the
accomplished a
25th?
whole
Pushing
lot.
it out a week? Yeah. Good. No, sure, yeah. Sounds good. All right. Well, now I'll move on to official action items now. I'm skipping ahead here, so.
Did Andy say everything he wanted to
I
say?
think so.
Yeah, if there's any
Got
other
a lull in the
Yeah.
conversation, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty
So
into
we
it.
hired the new public works guy.
Mhm.
I'm just in terms of, I'll just say organizational hierarchy, do they both report to you, or does this guy, new guy, report to John?
I have him as the laborer reporting to John as the
Okay.
foreman, and then John reports to me.
Okay.
Yes, Andy still gets his hat as commissioner, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, John takes on a fair amount more than it had been before, which I'm grateful for. He's able to follow through and
Yeah,
and do a lot. So that's great. He coordinated a lot of all the striping and street sweeping stuff. So that's been great.
yeah, it's great having him on board and then having somebody else come in as a labor position, so. I'm sure he was ecstatic finally.
We did, if folks asked, we did not miss a line on Water Street. We did, we intend to put a sign up for oversized vehicle parking, but we thought, I ain't seen the ordinance where it said we couldn't do that. It identifies where parking is, but it doesn't say that it's restricted to this or that, other than the hours. So we did put a 40-foot space on Water Street to accommodate oversized vehicles. It's on the front end of that, so they could pull out easily. And if we need to make it on the back end, we'll switch and put it on the back end. But folks wonder that's what that is.
Better on the front,
There's
so we
about
can pull out.
35 or 40 feet, I think, to the stop bar. So there should be enough room to get out and then make that kind of wider right-hand swing.
Right turn, right?
That bump out of that curb's kind of an awkward
Yeah.
piece for a longer vehicle or trailer.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, let's move on to barn door vacant. Tried to do that one earlier, but they wouldn't let me. I'm trying to.
What are they doing, putting rum in the biscuits or something?
Maybe, Tom, I don't know. Yeah,
I
everything
think
looks like
they're
it's
serving
been.
Bloody Marys at brunch.
No, that's the
be, could
cafe.
be,
See, that's the cafe. I'm part of the Bloody Mary Coalition. We asked for
Okay.
that, but didn't happen.
Nice. Yeah, everything looks like it's in order there, so.
They're
The only thing
But they only asked for wine and beer.
I'd maybe follow up with them on is I did see they have a new sign up with a different name.
Moonshine, yeah.
And they have it listed here as barn door breakfast
Barn door
still.
breakfast,
So as
yeah.
long as, I mean, I don't think it's an issue on your end, just for them
Yeah,
to make sure that they've got the right one on there, whatever they want there.
Yeah, not what, a week ago or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
So, yeah.
It's good they
Okay.
changed the name because it was confusing to have the cafe and the breakfast.
Yes, I think it's
Yeah, that's a good
It's a
move.
good,
Yeah, no, I'll move to the liquor license for our door baking company LLC.
All right, thank you, Dan. I think I heard Tom second. Discussion? All those in favor? All right, to go. Tell them to come back in, but there's nobody here, so. All right, we have entertainment license for Oysterhead Pizza.
That's different from the liquor. This is for bands, is that what it is?
This is for entertainment, yeah.
For entertainment, which they've been having.
Right.
Yeah, they've been setting up a band out front there. It's kind of neat.
Awesome.
Got some music going, so.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, it's wonderful.
I'll move the entertainment license for Oysterhead Pizza.
Second.
Andrea seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. And we have the. Yeah,
The meetings, can the public ask questions or you just talk and?
go ahead. I'll have you come up so we get you on the mic here, but no, I kind of keep things fairly open. So if you have a question about something we're doing, let's
Just a question about
Throw your hand up.
the time for the oyster music in town.
Okay.
Do they have a specific time? Do
Uh,
the town have any like a noise time ordinance? Oh, 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
Oh, okay, so okay.
It's on there,
That's
yeah.
all my
But you can, yeah, you're,
Thank you.
you're down the street there, you can probably hear it. From.
Yes.
I can hear it in my house.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. All right, Midcoast Humane Society.
That's just an agreement that we have to sign,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I don't, anything jumping out at anybody, Andy's just.
It's terrible. I mean, so many animals they handle.
Oh, yeah.
Oof, it's huge what they do.
What they solve their problem because that building is collapsing over there.
Yeah.
They need
Any
to-
follow-up on
And
that?
the one in Edgecombe should be
Pretty
condemned,
bad, isn't it?
but they're trying to fundraise to build a new one.
Yep.
Or they're starting the process.
So is this about the amount that we normally pay them?
Yeah, surprisingly, it hasn't changed for quite a while. Kevin and I actually suggested they consider, I think it's like, I forget what's $1.25 or something per resident,
Yeah.
50 maybe. It's not much. Compared to when you look at the numbers that, what they put through there and realize and all that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the Midcoast Humane Society shelter agreement as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Andrea.
I'm just so grateful that we have them, that we don't have all these wild animals
Yeah.
running or lost animals or
Well,
whatever.
it's nice it's there because the alternative, unless we were to try and do our own or work with other towns, would be Rockland or Brunswick.
Ah.
Yeah.
So or maybe, I don't know what's on the Augusta side, on this side of Augusta, but, so if you have an animal control officer, take possession of an animal that needs to go there
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Truck it all the way to
It's only a 15-minute
ways away.
Yeah.
trip versus an hour.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor? Good enough. Surplus equipment, so we're in the float selling
Oh my
business here.
gosh, a couple
Yeah,
people put a bid in. That was exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, these are popular.
Very happy to get that.
Did everybody get a chance to look at the bid package?
Yeah.
I did.
Proposals, yep, so.
Obviously, we'll go with the 3,800.
I think that's what, I think we're on the same page there, so you want to take that one, Josh?
I make a motion to approve the bid for the used town floats of 3,800 from Bobby Eyes and Peter Lockhart.
Second.
All right, Tom's gonna second. Any discussion? None? All those in favor? Right, good enough. And then we have Efficiency Maine.
We finally have the grant agreement from Efficiency Maine. We were notified of this back this winter. So we finally got the green light to sign here for the 80 grand. The other 30 or so roughly was going to be a federal tax credit. When we apply for that, once this is completed, so it hopefully is in tax year 25. It's possible that depending on when they can get in there, it's possible it goes into 26. They did extend the completion date from October of 25 to October of 26 because of the delay in getting this out. So just a checkpoint. I know we had talked about putting them down in the parking lot along the water. They reached out to talk about, do we need permits and and Mike Tatro had started to look into it, and we can't have any structures within 25 feet of the water that aren't functionally water dependent. And by the definitions in the ordinances, and we asked the folks at Shoreline Zone, at the state shoreline zoning team, and they've even got confirmation from the AG's office that they are considered structures.
But aren't they waterproof? Wouldn't those structures be waterproof?
Water server.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with flood issues. It's just putting structures near the water's edge, period.
That are, yeah.
And so you want to limit the disruption to, the soils that are there. You want to limit the hardened surfaces that are within 25 feet of the water, unless they're functionally water dependent. So it doesn't mean we can't do them at all. It does kind of present a little bit of a challenge in siting them. You could do them down there, but you'd have to potentially bring them into the asphalt a little bit, which I'd prefer we didn't do, mostly for maintenance purposes in the wintertime. And so it's going to take a little bit of effort to kind of rethink where we put them. Otherwise there's the possibility of trying to put them potentially in someone else's property if we can work out an agreement, some sort of easement to access. There's a couple parking lots in town that come to mind that we might be able to talk with them about. But
I
obviously,
think Bangor Savings would be one.
I don't know. I'm not sure where they are in their efforts to do their work. But they've got a plan and it didn't include that, so that might be a challenge.
But if they haven't started already, maybe.
They've gone through the planning board with a plan, and
Yeah.
Right,
now they have to
right.
go back through again. So I think that one.
Yeah.
That was the same process already,
Yeah.
so.
What's the risk of moving ahead with the grant, and not having an area?
Well, we
have to
sign,
move it?
I mean, we sign with the grant. I mean, I think the bigger implication is really the contract we have with the revision.
Yeah.
Because it said upon
Yeah.
award of the grant, and in my mind, technically we don't have it until we sign this.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so,
So 25,
Is anybody working on trying to find a site with it? Who's doing that? You were.
yeah, and it really needs to be in the downtown area,
right.
so.
Or the electric dinghy,
Or
or we tie up an electric dinghy.
What?
Your idea?
We toss some.
An electric dinghy?
if the chargers were to serve a marine use like the electric outboards, technically they could be functioning water dependent.
Trying to find a loophole. It's a stretch.
So it's really just that side of the parking lot then?
I think the whole thing, that park's not very wide. Even if you put them at the other end or the widest spot, I think the widest spot was like 17 feet from the water. That spot in particular is about 12.
No, but I mean, you could be on the building side of the parking lot.
You could, you'd have to go into the asphalt, disturb the asphalt and
Oh my God, and we just asked.
bring a power pole in closer to them probably, or get a transformer. I mean, so we were trying to minimize the asphalt impact and trying to keep it out of the way for winter maintenance.
Yeah. Don't want
The idea of putting bollards and more obstacles in the middle of the parking lot, if you haven't plowed a parking lot, it's not very fun to have to work around.
We can move them over by Colby and Gale, the old conference.
Well, I know this is weird, but could we flip flop where the post office parks and put them across the street?
That's not our property.
Oh, it's not?
No.
It belongs to the post office?
No, it belongs to
Right,
the
Gallagher.
property owner there, and they lease them those
Yeah.
spots.
Oh,
Yeah. The structure is you've seen the EV chargers at Rising Tide?
it's just
Yes.
bollard.
Same thing. Yeah.
It's just a bollard.
Consider. We can talk about it.
Great.
Well, I'm glad you shut up.
Your house is over here.
Yeah.
So, again, he says he's been, he's looking at some options, so.
I can follow up.
We can figure out something, yeah. So once we accept the. We're, according to the contract with revision.
I think that pretty well obligates us.
Obligated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure we were comfortable with starting that. I mean, the way it was worded, I think technically it goes back to December, but then it said we were to be done in 12 months, which not terribly far away if we don't have a site and they aren't prepared to come in anytime soon. So I think it's a little bit of a, I
Problem.
don't think it'd be a problem and it couldn't happen. It's just going to take a little extra work. It might be a little more money potentially, depending on how we land on where and if there's easements and such.
Well, I think we're committed now. It's been talked about in town.
Yeah.
The other possibility is to try and split them up potentially and again, do 2 sites instead of just one, but we'll work through and see if I can find something that could accommodate all of it.
Hopefully, yes, I'm confident we can come up with come up with something, locate them, so.
So yeah, if the board's comfortable and ready, you could consider authorizing the signing of this contract, and I could send it back.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, oh, you want it?
Oh, no, I was looking down
Oh.
there.
Doesn't want- He doesn't want this one. I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to sign the agreement with Efficiency Maine for the EV grant.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Andrea. All those in discussion? All those in favor? All right, very good.
Oh,
Oppose? Yep. Okay. All right, sneak anything else in there, do something extra, so. Okay. Well, we're gonna skip over our financial audit, so we can, anybody have any discussion items? Tom? Work our way down
I'm
through?
gonna yield to you, I think.
Oh, gotcha, all right, you don't want to say anything,
You're not gonna say anything?
Dan? Oh, no, we went through, yeah,
Um,
Dan's getting the notepad out.
no, 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 no. Last meeting, we didn't really have an opportunity to talk about. Did you sit in on the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission's prioritized sites inventory Zoom?
Recently?
Yeah, it would have been like 2 weeks ago. Okay. Then I'm ahead of you then on this one.
Supposed to be, it's supposed to be.
It's on their website. You
Yeah,
could look at it.
right.
So what they did was they went around to all the communities in Lincoln County looking for locations that would be suitable for affordable housing. And so they hired, so there's a company that did it, and they've gotten some grant from somebody to do it. And so they actually identified 4 sites in Damariscotta that they felt would be appropriate for affordable housing.
Okay.
Even though some of them are privately owned, most of them are privately owned. They've talked to the owners, and the owners have indicated some interest
Huh.
in potentially in those sites. And the idea was to find locations that the town or Lincoln County could, when a affordable housing developer comes forward and saying, we'd like to build
Yeah.
something in this area, here are the locations in all these different communities where they were available. So there's four locations, so that if you're interested, it is kind of interesting, the whole report, and they go through town by town, and they've cited all these different locations. And so it's worth, I think it's worth looking at, because in terms of just affordable housing initiatives, and some of them are fairly large properties too.
Yeah,
which
down
I was
east was
present.
one of them.
So there you go. Yeah. So if
Yeah,
you
we
get a chance, just go online,
Right.
look at the sites that are available. So
What, tell me again what it is, Dan?
it's called the Lincoln County Prioritized Sites Inventory. But you can
Lincoln
get.
County Planning Commission.
Yeah,
site.
Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission site will have it. They may have forwarded it to me because I participated
County
in
Planning
the meeting. And
Okay.
if I can find it quickly, I'll forward it to you as well.
Okay.
Nice,
Yeah,
awesome, thank you, Dan.
yep.
Andrea?
There was a piece in the paper in early May in the Portland Herald that talked about housing for helping people that were recovering from drugs.
Mhm.
And we were listed as one possible town to help build housing, but I didn't see that we weren't accepted. Other places around Maine were accepted, but we're on some list to be actually looked at to help find rehabilitation housing for people. I wondered if you had
I'm
heard
not
anything
surprised,
about
because
it.
we have the facility here, you know. I'm
Yeah,
the
Addiction Resource Center.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here,
sure they work, but
yeah, I know there's folks in the area that work with rehabilitation, stuff like that, not right in Damariscotta, but very close by, but I don't know.
But we haven't heard anything that people have approached us.
I haven't heard it.
Okay.
Okay.
Josh?
just want to make sure everybody remembers when they put their sandwich board out that they maintain all sidewalk traffic so people can get through handicapped accessible and trying to be,
Do we have a lot of people that put out those boards?
yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Really?
very much so.
Probably what, 30 of them or so scattered around, 20 or 30 of them anyways
Really?
in total.
Downtown tables and whatnot, yeah.
Oh, tables and
Little tables,
chairs.
yeah.
I'd
and
have
floors.
to, I'd not
Yeah,
get
yeah.
across the bridge at sometimes during the day, so
Yes.
don't want to make it too hard for
Yeah.
people
That
to
is
get
true.
down
Wow.
through anyway.
Oh,
Have you seen it already being plugged? I mean, I haven't, usually it's kind of around the kayak shop.
Yeah, usually it gets pretty tight there and a couple other spots, but I just want to make sure we keep following up and
Yeah, I've mentioned it to Mike Tatro to kind of keep it on his radar.
yeah, if you don't want to claim it in the winter,
Yeah.
don't claim it in the summer.
I was scanning the signage
Just had a last meeting.
ordinance, and I don't think there's any specifications for the
yeah,
location,
it is.
It's,
which means that we ought to consider that.
no, for sandwich boards, they have to apply and we
They
have
have
to
to
approve the
apply.
location.
But do they have to specify location? Are there any
Yes.
rules as to where
Oh,
the,
yeah.
Yep, for sandwich boards there are.
okay, so what is the
It's in the-
rule?
it's in the
How far
sidewalks.
off the street does it have to be?
They had,
Yeah, all right. I didn't see
So
it,
yeah,
but
there's
okay.
some guidance in there and they have to let us know where they're putting it and we have to approve it, that it can't be in the way.
Yeah.
It's an annual.
If it's off-site too, they need approval from, I've actually had, filled out some paperwork
2 or
before
3.
for an off-site approval, yeah. So
Okay.
if somebody that's off of Main Street and they want to put a sandwich board in, in front of another, like,
Yeah,
yeah. So
and
there's some guidance there.
There's a fee
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, so. All right. You
We're
good?
good.
Yep.
Well, I think we should all thank Josh for
This is your last meeting?
serving for all these years.
It could be.
Excuse me. The chief wanted to say something.
So I've got a couple of things I'm gonna run through tonight, and I'll try not to keep everybody here too late, but I'm gonna start with with Josh. This is technically your last board meeting,
Regular board meeting.
regular
yeah.
board meeting. So, and
I may not make town meeting pending baseball playoffs.
it's been a very busy man this year, but I think we can all say we appreciate everything you've done for the town and how long as you've been doing it. And this last run, how long has it been?
I don't know, this is 6 years, and then I did 3 years of school board before that, because I get written in, got like 7 votes.
Yeah.
I was trying to get out and take a break, but I did 3 years of that, and then I finished up another term of somebody's, and I don't know how many years at this point,
Yeah.
We're working on the board
so.
Yeah, update the board. Yeah.
in a few years.
I still don't know whether to thank
He
him
needs
for
another-
talking me into this and auto being mad at him, but
He needs a whole nother plaque. He's already got one filled up.
Oh,
for the-
yeah.
my goal,
For your-
that was the silent goal, was to make sure I'd be the first one with 2.
yeah, you told me that earlier. You told me that 6 years ago. You wanted 2 flags. So. No, great. You've been doing it a long time and through many different facets too, with the fire department and then sports and you name it. So,
But you're staying with the fire department.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I'd like to add to that, I really appreciate your knowledge and your history and knowledge of the history of this town has really been invaluable for somebody like me coming in new. And I'd like to give you a hand.
yeah.
Thank you. I won't be too far away.
Could be written in.
Brought your audience in
Yeah.
tonight for you. So everybody, all your friends.
You never know, sometime in the future, you never know, I might be back, but it'll be a while.
Sure. I'm sure we're going to lean on you a little bit here and there. So, yeah, we won't let you get too far. So, yeah.
But thank you
Thank you, Josh.
to the people for voting me in and kind of keeping me there every once in a while, so.
Yeah.
If they didn't want me, they wouldn't vote me in.
Yeah.
So you never know, they don't want me in.
You never know, maybe come back, so. Yeah, I've got a couple things I wanna run through the board, more of, no discussion items, but just some general things. I've been, my location downtown, I get a lot of, everybody knows where I am, so I hear a lot of different things, a lot of different people, so I want to preface where I'm going with a couple of things. I fully support First Amendment, right to gather, right to protest, free speech. Fully support it. And I would not advocate for any type of regulation, ordinance, things like that. You have to go through approval procedure, whatnot. That being said, I think any of us that are having large gatherings need to be cognizant of public access, making sure folks can get up the streets, not getting out in front of vehicles. I've seen it, I've heard it. There's a lot of, there's some underlying currents where I'm speaking for not just myself, but so there's a lot of folks that don't really want to say anything. They just don't want to they don't want to offend, they don't want to bring it up. So I'm that person tonight. I think the vast majority of folks are fine. I'm not going into politics. I fully respect the right to protest and the right to group up and demonstrate. We all have to remember whatever we're doing is we're probably not everybody always agrees with whatever we agree with, right? We all have our opinions. So there's a large concern over parking going into the summer with the regular Wednesday, Saturday crowd that's been on the bridge. I do hear a lot of questions about that, about where people parking, what are we going to do about parking? So that's something I'm just speaking out in general to, I don't know who organizes it. It's like a pretty grassroots thing, but in general, those are things I think everybody should be aware of. And again, fully support the right to express your opinions and whatnot. I think we all should aware how it might affect businesses downtown, things like that, traffic flow. You have a lot of vendors that come in that are having a hard time squeezing through there sometimes. And I hear this on a daily basis. I do want to address, might be a little hot button issue, but looking over the last year or so, with the amount of anti-Semitism that we've seen in the United States recently, I'm going to go off a little soapbox here for a second. I will say that I was appalled personally, and I'm not the only one, to see the demonstration that was on the bridge Thursday. I don't have any other way to describe it as an anti-Semitic display. And I'm speaking as opinion. I'm not speaking as behalf of the town.
What was it?
It was the bridge was covered with Palestinian flags, the whole bridge from one end to the other. And I know that I would probably speak for our Jewish folks in this town that I can't imagine they were very comfortable seeing that. So I was appalled. But to expand on that, you can't get too caught up in what goes on the internet, but the after effects of some of this stuff, specifically with the display last Thursday, and I've shared some of this with Andy. We talked a little bit about it, but I just added Damariscotta to my do not visit list. Will not be spending money in that community as I have for decades. Last time at Pumpkin Festival, I could go on and on. There's thousands of comments, and again, you can go down, internet rabbit hole, but I think people need to be cognizant of how these types of things affect the local area. We, as select board members, are here to represent our town, our businesses. When I start seeing things that are affecting business and are concerns to business, again, have the right to do it. I'm not advocating for anything other than that. I just want it to be, I want to be on record saying that it does affect businesses. People are noticing. People are going out of the way not to come to Damariscotta occasionally. It's made some of the bigger news outlets and not always received in a positive manner. The Thursday display after a young Israeli couple was murdered a couple weeks ago. Sunday's firebombing, which involved an 88-year-old Holocaust survivor. Honestly, to see that display in town, I was offended. The town I grew up in, the town my grandparents grew up in, my great-grandparents grew up in, I never thought I'd see that. And I hope that the folks that organized that, I hope it was out of ignorance and not out of any type of anti-Semitic flavor. I hope not, I think they're probably trying to make a point, but we could go down a geopolitical rabbit hole of Hamas and Palestine and where we want to go with that. But I just wanted to get out there that it was surprising, and there was a lot of folks that have spoke out about it. So I'm concerned with the businesses in town and making sure everybody is welcome here. And I know we have some Jewish folks that live in our town. I don't know how many Palestinians we have or Hamas supporters, but I'm not going down that road. But we do have Jewish folks here that I don't want them to feel like there's some sort of anti-Semitic undertone in this town. So that's my soapbox. I'm sorry to bring it up tonight, but that's all I have to say. You know.
No, this is something very new that has never been here before. The last couple of years have been a lot more protests, and everybody has a right to protest. But as Daryl said, things are starting to get a little bit out of control. But everybody has a right to protest. But I just ask that it be civil and respect everybody's opinions. Treat everybody with respect, rather whatever you are. That's how I was raised here. This is how Daryl was raised here. To see that start to come in the fold is in this area does warrant some concern. So, but I think if we're gonna, I mean, it's a state bridge. I don't know how if they allow people to put things on their bridge. I just know that you cannot impede any pedestrian traffic or stop any commerce. So I'd hope that everybody be respectful, and if people need to pass as a pedestrian, that I think there has been some undertones and some little bit of harassment, but that's just hearsay at this point. I haven't witnessed it myself. But please be civil, because this is not, will allow you to protest, but please, everybody doesn't have the same opinion as you do, so.
Well, the truth is, these are unusual times, and I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah.
And this is not the same world that we grew up in 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. It's just not.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it good.
The civility,
It's not a question.
civility should remain. I mean,
Oh,
people should be
absolutely. I
treat
think
each
people
other.
should all be civil
Absolutely.
towards each other. I'm not thinking that this is a place to have much of this discussion, because it's so easy to confuse anti-Zionism with anti-Semitic behavior. And I'll just say right now, what's going on in Palestine or in Gaza is what it is.
I don't want to go down
And if people are upset about that,
I don't want to go down a geopolitical debate with Dan. I'm telling you what I'm hearing from people that did not appreciate that on that bridge.
Well,
I'm telling you right now,
but-
and myself
but
included.
don't confuse the two, though.
I'm not.
It's so
I'm not.
easy to do.
I'm not. I know that. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to go into debate with
Not
you
the
on that.
place for us to have this
No,
conversation.
It's not. I
but-
brought it up.
I'm-
I brought it up because I hear this. I'm downtown all day long. I hear this from people all the time. What I'm saying is people the same way if it was the other way around. There was some other, we still need to be respectful. You still need to be cognizant of how it appears to other people. When I'm seeing stuff online that says boycott the town of Damariscotta, that's concerning. That should be our number one concern. And they're saying it after the Thursdays. Most people are okay with Wednesday and Saturday. Thursday pushed them over the edge. I'm saying pushed me over the edge. I'm sorry, but it did. So, I know enough about Israel and Palestine that I don't need to be schooled on it.
Okay.
So be respectful.
I could add that-
no, sorry. I mean, out of respect, I'm not arguing with you. No, but
I could add that, working with the chamber, I've been getting comments from them along the same lines, okay?
the chamber's been getting,
Yeah, and
yes, complaints.
in a more general sense, I started looking at our signage and nuisance ordinances, and I think if we have the opportunity when we're doing ordinance review to take a look at those, again, can't stop free speech, but there's a point where some of it gets, maybe borderline, and we ought to have some more guidance on it. But at least take a look at. We should at least take a look at those two ordinances.
Well,
Because if it gets worse, which it could, depending on how things go,
yeah,
right now, we don't have anything really to deal with it. There's nothing, if you read the ordinance.
Yeah, I think there's some
But-
guidelines though. Public
Yeah, but
property.
they're not,
but what
they need to be tuned up.
do you think that we should be if people want to protest, then is it better to do it on the corner across from the public house, out of the traffic flow?
That's
of the
Newcastle.
bridge?
That would be up to them.
I think it's better to.
Again, me personally, I'm not advocating for a permit process and like that. People have the right to do it. We also have the right to have an opposite opinion and how it's perceived. So I'm not advocating any type of ordinance or anything like that.
I think
I
the spacing
think
that
that goes-
people choose to gather for whatever purpose needs to accommodate the size.
Yes.
And the fact is, the sizes that we've experienced have not allowed pedestrians to pass through on the sidewalk. It has, at times, demonstrators have been out in the travelway. And it just need to be mindful of the group size and the space can accommodate it. So, there is a law and expectation that the pedestrian do have the ability to be on the sidewalks that we've built and maintained. And nothing about the issue, just the fact that we need to be mindful of that. Whoever's organizing those or they were demonstrating, keep that in mind. We did learn, I did reach out to the state a few weeks ago because there was some signage attached to the bridge and I wasn't sure that it was allowed, people could just attach things to the bridge. So they had called about what it had said, but I had followed up and at the time, I was asked if they were taken down at night and I said yes, and they said, okay. Okay. And then Jason followed up on Friday with someone else at the state to ask if people can attach things and they said, well, no. So as far as we know at the moment, it is no, you can't just attach things to the bridge. It doesn't stop you from holding things or being on the bridge, but
Right.
what was
I've
happening
been seeing it
last
left
week was
overnight.
they were just attached to the bridge and left for it standing there. So I think just for anyone that is listening, that we can't allow people to attach things to the bridge,
Correct. We shouldn't.
not without state approval.
Right.
Just out of curiosity, just to throw it out, but is there anything in our ordinance that would prevent somebody from having an obscene sign or a violent sign or something promoting violence?
Our sign was wins, no.
Simple thing to add, but I think there's
Depending on what the sign says, I mean, it could be construed as potentially as a sign of a form of harassment of sorts. It might be a criminal thing, but
Right.
it'd be pretty bad.
Well, it's incumbent on us to protect the town, like Daryl said, and I just say when we look at those ordinances, we got to keep it in mind.
Oh, I think we're flirting with somebody getting hurt if it's gonna be that big and people are in traffic lanes, so
Yeah, I've seen people stumble around,
Yeah.
not stumble, like almost fallen in some, just trying to walk through.
right.
I think again, that's where we used to be. There's no shoulder there to really walk on.
No.
There are big trucks that come through there twice, opposite directions at the
Yeah.
same time sometimes, and they can't move over. So for the folks standing there, I worry. For the folks trying to walk through, I worry.
Especially if you're someone that's not there to protest and you're just trying to walk.
Exactly.
Have we
Then-
tried to reach out to the organizers or tried to identify them?
I know I've looked online, what's it called?
Indivisible.
Yeah, and it's always listed as volunteer. I don't know, other than whoever hosts the website, I don't know who organizes the group officially because it doesn't list it. At least the times I've looked.
Well, we can poke around, see if we can find a name.
Yeah, I was curious that it looked like there's like 12 flags and they were all brand new Palestinian flags. I was surprised that people were buying those, but they're available. You can buy them.
Well, there's plenty of people flying them in our town.
Flying Palestinian flags?
Yeah,
Really?
like the Ukraine flag.
I haven't seen it. All right.
I'm good.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
You
Yeah, all those in favor?
There are, you got ladies first. Okay.